My name is Paul Church from Clarity Stamp in the UK, and welcome. I'll give it a few minutes. I shall waffle about for a little bit until I can see some numbers popping up on the side. There we go. I can see some numbers now. Where's my glasses? Should have put my glasses on today. So good morning, everybody. Welcome. Stuart's in the room with you, so hopefully he'll send me a text shortly to say that the sound is nice and clear. How are we all doing today? I don't know why I'm rubbing my hands if I'm cold. I'm absolutely melting. Put the shirt on. I've got shorts on. The fan's going underneath, so it's nice and cool. What's the weather like? Good morning, Linda. Welcome. Nice. There we go. Now that I know people are in the room, hopefully you can hear me. I'm just waiting for the text from Stuart. Stuart's in the room with you today, so if you have any questions, good morning, Bernie. He's there to answer them. He'll pop some links up during the course of the morning, and I'm sure we'll have some of the fantastic design team in the room as well that know all things groovy. So sip of coffee, nice hot drink on this scorchingly hot day. Good morning, Lynn. Good morning, Karin. Hazel, good morning. Helen, there we go. Everybody's coming in now. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Another episode of Groovy Tuesday. There we go. Is that my text message from Stuart? All good. Thanks, Stuart. So there we go. I'll try not to have any sneezing fits this week, but who knows? It may just be a bucket of water over me in a moment. So, or I'll generate a bucket of water. It really is warm in here. So, how are we all doing? How are we coping with the hot weather? I think it was as Barb said yesterday in the Shack. We complain when it's too cold. We complain when it's too wet. We complain when it's too windy. We're never happy, are we? I remember years ago. I mean, it is years ago now. When I worked in London, we were fortunate or unfortunate to have air conditioning in the office. So you'd get in nice and early, the air conditioning would be on, be nice and cool. And then when it came to leave, you'd walk out the office door and the heat would just hit you. You know, like when you get off the airplane in a foreign country and that heat just comes in. And that's what it was like. And then you had to get on a hot train. Sometimes the windows opened, sometimes they didn't. Sometimes the air condition worked, sometimes it didn't. So you'd be melting on the journey home as well. So do I miss that? Let me think about that. No, I can jump in my car outside the office, put the aircon on, nice and cool. Maybe that's an idea. Maybe I'll take my laptop and sit in the car and work. But it's lovely to have your company again today for another episode of Groovy Tuesday. It was a busy week last week, all things clarity. Where did we leave it last week? So we had Groovy Tuesday. And then, oh, that's right, it was the one-day special. Fantastic, easy layout plates from Linda Williams. Massive thank you to Linda, Josie and Lynn Jackson for prepping all the demos, which unfortunately I didn't get a chance to complete or do them justice. And the fantastic design team, as always, they just make it so easy. And guessing by how quickly it sold out, you definitely like them as well. So should we have a quick look, just while we're waiting for people to come in, we'll just have a look at the various different designs. Maybe you did miss that. Maybe you wasn't around last week. Okay, it's not blurry. This is the folder. I've got all my easy layout plates. Let me just zoom out a little bit. We'll just sort of just have a flicker at the designs whilst we're waiting for everyone to pull up a chair, switch the fans on, get a cold or a hot drink. So there were 6 brand new plates from Linda Williams. A friend to me, you'll always be. And there's so many different elements on them. The next one is enjoy the little things. I love this section here. That is just a beautiful little topper in its own right. Then the next one in the collection, this was lovely. This is the Love is All That Matters. The little tags on there that you can use separately. Then the next one in the next collection was In a Field of Roses, Be a Wildflower. This sort of shape, really, really nice. I love this sort of it reminded me of sort of like a windmill. Then the next one, oh, I love this one. I said that, terrible. I love all of them. It's hard to choose a favourite. Summer on Endless Sea of Wildflower Meadows. Reminds me of that Simple Simon game. I don't know if you saw the shows last week, we was talking about that. This one is in Back to France. And this all ties in really nicely with what we've been doing in Groovi Tuesday. The final new one was Live Simply, Bloom Wildly. This looked quite Art Deco-y in style. And then obviously we've got the previous collections. Everything we sort of showcased sort of sold out. It was really hard to keep up with everything. So you've got Special Delivery, Cool Yule, Sparkle at Christmas. Then we've got Gardener of the Year, Happy Retirement, and Take Time to Relax. So it's a real sort of beautiful medley of different designs last week. And yeah, really, really beautiful. And when you look at what we've been working on over the past few weeks, it all started when Linda created this project for the Groovi Club. And but what we had to do, as we've been working through it, we had to create it from the nested squares, didn't we? Or the grid plate mate. That's where we took our elements from. And I think it's good to work out how it's created, but then to have those easy layout plates from Linda, it's just instant, isn't it? You just create the fantastic artwork, and then you infill it with all the different elements, whether it be from the designs that are on the plate or designs from your other plates. And I did have a message from somebody, apologies, I forgot your name, and they said that they've loved sort of breaking it down and coming up with composition and just taking small elements from various different plates they already had in their stash and then just putting it into the boxes. And all of a sudden, she said that it made it seem more achievable. So that's brilliant to hear. And it's great seeing all your artwork on Groovi Worldwide and Clarity Worldwide, see what you come up with. Because the layout plates do exactly as they say on the label. They give you those layouts. And Glynis did a fantastic Clarity Matters blog on Sunday. Was it last week or the week before? I can't remember now. Sort of, I try and go forward and go back. But yeah, so this is where we've been working. And the first couple of weeks we sort of recreated, and this was the original piece of artwork from Linda. And then this was my interpretation, just changing it up slightly, different patterns, but using the plates that Linda had used within her design. And they're all available. I'm sure Stuart will pop the link up. This is back issue number 65. And it does guide you through, but if you've got some of the easy layout plates, then some of that work's already been done for you. And then you can take the little elements from the plate and just fill it in. So then the second project in the club, in the concertina, was this one here. And what we decided to do, because the other week on our highlight product of the week, we had a special offer on the embossed pattern plate. So I thought what we would do is we would take this to create the frame and then very simply just trace out the design that we can pop in the middle. So how did we get on with that last week? Well, did I do any more after we spoke last week? What do you think? Nope. But I know where we're heading because it's very simple. This is really, it's really, for me, this hour every week is just my chill out. The same as Barbie's for the shack. It's that sort of calming down and just chilling out and just going with the flow. So I thought what we'd do is we'd carry on creating our frame. So this is where we're working on. Okay, so let me just bring the camera in a little bit shouldn't look at that light in front of me. I'd start seeing stars in a minute. Oh, wrong way. I've got a great big sign in front of me telling me which direction to move the lever. I still went wrong. Okay. So what we're going to need to carry on for this week is we've got this plate. Now, if you've got Josie's A5 plate mate for A5 square grids, there's beautiful designs on there that you can use as well. Maybe you've got some of the embossed pattern plates, the samplers that we also showcased last week. You can easily create frames and borders with those as well. So we're going to need our plate. I've still got my piece of A5 parchment attached. Use my Groovi tabs. I definitely need my Groovi guard today. My hands are so warm. And then we're going to need the number 2 tool that comes in the starter kit. Okay, it's got a tiny little ball on the end, which is perfect for working on the embossed pattern. Okay. And that's all we're going to need for today. We're just going to chill. We're going to try not to move too much. So because of the heat, I've got a fan on underneath. I've got my shoes off. I should have put a bucket of water underneath, shouldn't I? Put my feet in, I could have paddled. I would have had to have been careful of the fan though. Oh dear. So I hope everybody's well. Let's have a morning all. Grey outside, but hot with it. Hope you're all okay. Oh, it's very nice. How's Jane doing? Bit cooler here. Not so melting as yesterday. No, I think they're sort of forecasting later in the week, aren't they? Where it's really going to sort of peak. I know it is down here. I think on Monday I read that it was going to peak at sort of 33. But we're only Tuesday. Who knows? It could be snowing by Monday. And you know what? We'll be moaning about that as well, won't we? So, okay. Are we good to go? Product, tools, coffee, brain. Well, I'm not sure about that. I think we're good to go. Okay. So, eyes down, as they say. So all we're going to do now to get a really nice embossed dot, if you hold the tool more upright and give it a little wiggle, okay, then you'll get a whiter dot. But in the whole scheme of things, it's the overall effect that we're looking for. Okay, so all we're going to do, I'm holding it as if I would trace out if I'm just tracing out a normal design. So I hold it at an angle like I would with the line art. And this is very, very soothing. Is that the right word? Soothing? I don't know. I suppose it is in a way. But I know for me, it's very relaxing because I don't need to think about what I'm doing because Josie, as always, has done all the hard work for us. And all we're doing is just transferring the designs. See? And it doesn't take long. And all of a sudden, as you start to trace or press into the dots, you start to see different elements. So for example, if let's do this bit here. Okay. Oh, missed that one. So you can also see where you've missed as well. So then all of a sudden, I'm going to do the number 2. We've got a little cross. Okay. And then adding in the outer part just changes the look of it again. Now this would be great. You could do some perforating in between some of these if you choose to. With the embossed pattern plates, for me, it has that versatility of giving you options, whether you just want to emboss the design or whether you want to combine perforating and then pico cutting. I think what would be nice if we perforated on the inside of these little boxes and then pico cut those to allow whatever colour from behind to come through. Or another option is to colour them in. So a nice sort of solid colour. So if we have a look at what Linda's done on her one, Linda has used blue parchment, and then what she's done, she's applied colour behind every other one. So you've got that beautiful contrast of the light and the dark blue. And it sort of really ties it in really beautifully with the image in the middle. Okay. So question from Chrissy, how far am I going down the dots? Okay, so Chrissy, what I'm going to do, let me just do, I know I sort of digress that, let me just complete this section here, and then you can see what I'm doing the whole of the larger panel. Okay, so now you can see that. So if we look at the design as a whole, what I'm going to be doing is all of this around the outside. I'm ignoring the panel in the middle because that's where we're going to put our artwork. Okay. But if I take the plate, for example, I know that the plate will overlap part of the design. So it's not essential you go, I mean, if you wanted to, you could stop at this line here, the bottom of those boxes. Okay, but maybe you'll decide to use this on a different project. Entirely up to you. Now, when it comes to the line around the outside, what we did was we used the nested square. And let me see if I can, I'll bring this up to this camera. Okay, because what I did was, you'll see the frame sits just on those dots. Okay, on the outer part of the design. And I'm not going to emboss those at all. So I'm starting off with, let me see if I can get in there, the 2 dots underneath. So I'm ignoring the outer row of dots. And that was a great way of also lining up my positioning, so that I knew that it was completely square and it wasn't off kilter. I know, Chrissy, it's easy to get carried away, isn't it, once you start pressing into those dots. So see this, the frame on this, I know it can take a little bit of time, but I think the results are definitely worth it. And if you were having to count this out from a basic grid, can you imagine what, I mean, I would just have loads of dots. Wouldn't necessarily have a pattern. So we're just going to carry on pressing in. Try not to move too much. So this is good. See, for me, the Groovi system you can do in any weather conditions. It's perfect. You can sit in the garden in the shade. You can sit in the house with the fan on. Anywhere really. Because it's so, if you think we're just using this one plate for this part of the project and some parchment, and the Groovi guard definitely makes a difference because my hands are so warm. How's everybody getting on? Do you enjoy this? Do you enjoy this part of the Groovi system with the embossing of the dots, or do you prefer tracing out the line art? What's your favourite part of Groovi? Oh, a little message come up on the screen. Let me just get rid of that. So there we go. Just hope it doesn't want to reboot itself. So let's have a look. So come and let me know what part of parchment work. What do you think is good? What do you think is good? That was really rubbish English, wasn't it? Washing it? Colouring from Jill. multi-needle tools, all of it. I know. Okay, another question for you. Who has only been doing Groovi or only been doing parchment craft since Groovi came along? Go on, hands up. See, I know that a lot of the design team have been doing it traditionally for many years. Pico cutting, tracing out. I mean, I never thought in a million years I'd be doing parchment craft as part of my job. I really didn't. Not when you consider, I mean, obviously when I joined Clarity, Groovi had already been launched and established. And for me, I think, let's turn it around so we go this way now. See, it doesn't take long, does it? See, for me, I love the simplicity of the journey. Okay. And what I mean by that is to be able to achieve beautiful results using the Groovi plates to trace out a design. Okay. So you just trace it out and you've got a beautiful piece of artwork. And it's quick. I mean, I'm not saying all crafting should be quick and there's a rush to do something. But when you compare to, just take the line art, for example, to do it traditionally, that to have that skill, to be able to trace out with a steady hand, then to emboss so that it looked, I suppose in a way, it looked as if now we can say as if you've done it on a Groovi plate, to get that equal thickness and strength to the white line. And I think that's why when I tried it traditionally, I gave up. Because I'm sure like many of you watching today, you've tried all different types of crafting because you see something on TV and you think, oh, that's good, I want to give that a go. So stamping, die cutting, stencil work. There's so many, knitting, crocheting, soft fabrics. There's so many different crafts out there, and I've tried a number of them. Didn't really go down the soft fabric road. That wasn't sort of my cup of tea sort of thing. But knitting, I love knitting, but I can't crochet. I've always wanted to be able to crochet, but I think someone explained to me that if you're a knitter and then you try and do crochet, you've got to rethink the way in which you work. I don't think when I've tried it, my brain was in that right frame of mind to do that. I'm sure one day when I retire, I'll learn how to do it. Look at that. Look how easily it comes together to create a design. And there really is no skill required whatsoever. And again, with parchment craft, there's no rules to say that you've got to complete your project in one sitting. That's the beautiful. It's like knitting, isn't it? You can put your knitting down and come back to it as long as you make a note with knitting. If you're following a pattern, what stage you've got to. Otherwise, you go back and do your next row and you think, oh, was that meant to be pearl or was it meant to be knit? I've done that many a time, but for this, you can see exactly where you finished and where you need to carry on. Okay. So we've got some crocheters in the building, we've got some knitters in the building. See, I was the same, Jude. If I was taught how to knit by my nan, I don't know how old I was. I think I was about 5, 6 or 7. My nan was a fantastic knitter. And she taught me to knit, and I got the bug from there. And believe it or not, I've got, when she passed away, I had all of her knitting needles, and they're up in the loft. That's my sort of, I mean, obviously loads of memories, but that for me was sort of personal because she taught me to knit. That was fun. Many moons ago now, that was, definitely. It made me laugh yesterday when Barb was talking about clutter and housework and how we build up all our stash of product. And somebody said yesterday they spent more time tidying up than they did crafting. But yeah. Ask me if I can get into my craft room. Not. It has become a bit of a dumping ground, really. One day I'll tidy it up. One day. There's no rush though. Today would definitely not be the day to make a start on that. So just follow it through. And as long as we stay within the design, then we're fine. And at the end of the day, it's a bit of parchment. So if we did go a little bit wrong for whatever reason, we got carried away and we went over the line, because what I'm going to do for this one, if I say for example I'd gone into those little dots by mistake, I was speeding along as I sometimes often do, and I went over the line, then all I would do is I'd introduce those dots all the way around, and then when I'm trimming it down, I'd make allowances for that. Jill says tidying up is fatal. You can't find things afterwards. Yep, I totally agree on that. You put something away, tidy it up, and then you go, now where was that? Or the other downside to tidying up, it's been a while since I've tidied up my craft stash, is that you start tidying up and then you find something that you forgot that you had. Who's done that? You start tidying up and you come across something and go, oh, I forgot I had that. And then you start playing. And then before you know it, you've made an even bigger mess than what you had to start with, because you get sidetracked. Who does that? I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'm sure I'm not the only one. It's so easy to do. You're tidying through and you're going through a box, and then you open this box and you go, oh yeah, I forgot I had that. Stu Carpenter, loads of times. Yep. I also remember back in the day, I'd go to some of the retail shows like the NEC. What was the one that used to go? Went Sandown, and I'd buy stuff and then I'd get home and I'd put it in my craft room, and then I'd forget that I'd put it in there, and then I'd see something and think, I'm sure I had one of those, and then realise I hadn't even unpacked the bag. I know. Crafting is lethal. But you know what? It's enjoyable, and I'm sure it keeps many of us out of trouble. And out of trouble in a good way. It's a distraction, isn't it? And for me, this is what Groovy Tuesday is. It's a nice distraction. for whatever's going on. I mean, apart from the weather outside, anything could be happening. I'm oblivious to what's going on. I'm oblivious to what some of the comments. Apologies if I miss anything, but I'm sure if I do, Stuart will let me know if there's anything pertinent that I need to respond to. But for me, Groovi is a relaxant. Same as knitting. I can feel at ease whether I'm doing parchment craft or knitting. And when I say I knit, okay, I can follow a pattern, but I tend to knit scarves because they're quick and easy. Because I can get, depends on the size needles I'm using, I can get a really quick result. And for me, it's just another form of distraction. I don't know whether I'd have the patience to make like an adult jumper or something like that. Baby's clothes, I've done some of those in the past, like cardigans and jumpers. But it's all about, so it's just sort of getting out of your head and not thinking. And we all do crafts for all different reasons, don't we? We're just going to go along. This is just so easy to do. See, I can hear, can't even speak. I just feel so chilled. I'm ignoring that I'm hot. I'm just chilled. And it's only when I say I'm hot, I feel hot. It's psychological, isn't it? But I feel totally zoned out. I really do. Is it mindless? I don't know. It's definitely mindful for me personally. But it's nice to be sharing with everyone at home, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching back on catch up via the Clarity Stamp YouTube page. Yeah, it's lovely. It really is. Knowing people out there are enjoying just getting together for an hour today, and then the shack on Mondays and Thursdays with Barb. It's great because when I'm in the room with Barb virtually, and to see all the comments up and feed questions and comments back to Barb, it gives you that sense of purpose, I suppose, in a way. That we're doing, that I feel I'm doing something and somebody's appreciating what we're doing. And it's always free as well, isn't it? So, and you can go back and watch it again and again. I mean, turn the volume down when you watch it back. It's entirely up to you. But I think it's just the easy part and just breaking it down into sections. And I know often when like Barb's prepping for, say, for a stamp show, and she shows me the finished project, and then sometimes we'll talk about, so how did you do that? How did you do this? And it's amazing how something so beautiful and so intricate looking can be so easily achieved. And it goes back all that way to the shack when lockdown kicked in. And I remember once Bob showed me a picture with her obviously being the bus driver on where she was heading over the coming weeks. And it was some beautiful flowers. And I thought, wow, how are you going to achieve that? And then over the period of a couple of weeks, all of a sudden, everyone in the shack was recreating exactly what Barbara had shown me. And it was amazing. It really was. And all of those are still available on the Clarity YouTube page. There's a vast library of tutorials, from stamping to die cutting to Groovi, to stencils to gel plates, so much. Maybe just, I would say, maybe just pop on there and have a look. You may be surprised what you find. But I will warn you, it is addictive, because you'll start watching something. It's that same as when you start tidying up and then you find something. Half an hour can lead into an hour, can lead into 2 hours. And before you know it, it's time for bed. I think that's what us crafters are like, aren't we? It's that addictive personality. So we're almost done there. It hasn't taken long, has it, to complete the design around the outside? And if you find that your hand's hurting a little bit from doing too much, then you can just stop, rest, take a breather, and then come back to it. Just like I did, I had a week's breather in between starting off the design. But at least I gave everyone at home that tuned in last week the opportunity to see where we were headed, so that if you were looking for something to do during the week, then you could go ahead and create the frame. So what have we got coming up this week at Clarity Towers? Where are we now? We're Tuesday. Okay, so introduction to grids. The lovely Tina Cox is going to be on Create and Craft TV on Thursday at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. And she's going to be showcasing her fantastic border grids. Pattern number 1 in straight and diagonal, together with the II books. Now, if you're thinking, well, what's an II book? Then it was an idea that Barb had back in the early days, especially with Groovi. There was some beautiful, there still is. There was some fantastic artwork from the design team. And often when we're on TV, it's showcased for sort of like seconds. And so Barb had the idea of creating II books, ideas and inspiration. So the first books in the collection were Tina's pattern border grids. And Tina created all of the projects in those books. It must have taken her ages and ages to do them. But what it does, it means that when you take a border grid and you get it home and you look at it and you think, oh, where do I start? You've got the book to offer you guidance or ideas and inspiration. So Tina's going to be showcasing those on Thursday. And even if you've already got them, I'm sure you'll pick up some new, maybe when you got them back in the day, you were fairly new to it. And now you have a better understanding of using the Groovi system and the grids and the plates and the techniques. And I'm sure we'll still learn something from Tina. I mean, I learn all the time. So that's on Thursday. But before that, Barb's in the shack at 10. So I shall be in the virtual room with you as well. That beautiful ammonite, those pastel colours, absolutely gorgeous. And on the camera yesterday, it just looked absolutely amazing. So that's what we've got. So Thursday at 10 o'clock, it's the Shack with Barb with the ammonites. Whenever I say that, I want to say, they'll show my age now, that song, The Israelites. Now, who sung that? Was that Desmond Decker? Desmond Decker? Don't know now. I'm sure somebody in the room would have heard that song and will let me know. Was it Desmond Decker and the Israelites, or was the song Israelites? I can't remember now. But whenever I hear Ammonites, I think of Israelites. So we'll see all the comments coming up now. All right, let's have a look. Let's reveal our beautiful patterned frame. Gently remove that. Oh, it's raining in Stockport. Right, let's all head off to Stockport. There we go. Nice and easy. Didn't take long at all. I'd say that probably took less than half an hour, and that was stopping and starting and everything else. But it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. There's no way that, let me just bring in, let me just find them in my folder. Let me just flick through while you're looking at that. There's no way that I could have created that from that. Okay. Because, oh, I like that, Ken. Barbara Gray and the Ammonites. Great name for a band. Perfect name. We'll have to let Barb know on that one. Barbara Gray and the Ammonites. Yes, that's brilliant. I'm going to have to write that down because I'll forget by the time we finish on here. Barbara Gray and the Ammonites. Well done, Ken. It was Desmond Decker, so yeah. So, and the song, was it Israelites? Oh dear. Dave on guitar, me on Groovi. Oh dear. We're a crazy bunch, aren't we? But you know, it's good to be crazy. It's good to laugh and have fun. That's what, for me, that's what crafting is all about. Just enjoying it, not feeling any pressure. We've got to do this, we've got to do that. That really is, it takes away the enjoyment. Yeah. So as we were saying, there's no way I would have taken a basic grid and come up with that. I mean, that design would fit perfectly on there. Let me just put my head over, just see if I line that up. I suppose the only way of doing it sort of would be if this was a printed pattern, I suppose like what it was traditionally, you would put the grid over, put it underneath, put the grid on top, and then parchment on top, and then perforate or emboss. But we can use this now to, if we wanted to, perforate. Should we do a little bit of perforating? What do you reckon? I reckon that would look really nice. I'd say so. What do you think? To perforate or not to perforate? That is the question. I think we will do some perforating. I'm sure I've got everything here that I need. Let me just grab, I'm going to grab my 1 needle bowl tool out of my bag. I'm sure I put it back from the TV. Yeah, I've got that. Then I need, let's have a look. Okay, just rummaging around. I'm sure I've got some in here somewhere. So just bear with me while I have a gander around the room. I'm sure I have. Right, that'll do. That will do, said Fred, whoever Fred is. Okay, I've got my Pico foam and I've just got my thin translucent foam. So what we're going to do now is we've wiped the back already, so that's good. And then I'm just going to wipe the front for the fun of it because it's in my hand. Then I'm going to need a plate mate. So I'm going to go with the plate mate from the starter kit. Okay. And have I got enough Groovi tabs? Have I got enough Groovi tabs? I think I've got plenty. Okay. So that's going to go on there. Plate mate. Now, if I'm using the multi-needle tools, what I would tend to do is I would take my tumble dry sheet, open it up, lay that on the mat. I can still do that. Lay that on the mat. I'm going to put my plate in position. I'm going to take a Groovi tab to hold it in place. Okay. And then I'm going to take my parchment. Now we're working from the front. Now, for ease, I'm going to take that away because I haven't got my glasses with me. And we're going to line up the design. Okay. So what we're going to do is make sure, so the embossed dots, I will zoom in a moment so we can see what we're doing. The embossed dots are going to sit over a hole. Okay. But if I line this up there and then just slide it along, so I'm happy that I can see the perforations between. So let me tape that down there first in that position. Now I'm going to slide along with my hand and make sure that that's lined up, because it should all line up because it's all based on a basic straight bold grid. So that's now in place there, and if I come down to the bottom corner, that is now in position. So another Groovi tab. This is going to be stuck down so that this does not move, because I know we won't finish this today. So it means that if that is in place, I can pick it up and come back to it. So let me zoom in now and we'll have a look on this area here. We'll do one corner to start with. So zoom in. Let's see where I'm going to go. This way. Okay, I will reposition once we've zoomed in far enough. There we go. So if I press that down, can you see where we can see the embossed dots are sitting around the perforated holes from the basic grid? Okay. Now I reckon, does it need to move a little bit? I reckon that's okay. That's okay, it says. Just have a look. I'm just gonna follow it along just to make sure. Yep, that will be fine. Groovi Guard really key for this, because although we've attached all the parchment all the way, we've perforated. I've attached the parchment in 4 different corners. You can still get a little bit of bounce, okay, because it's not completely flat. So the Groovi Guard will really help with that, and also it helps you to focus on an area. So I'm using my 1 needle bowl tool, okay, and all I'm going to do, I'm going to just perforate the inside, okay, because what I want to do is Pico cut. So it's just a series of 3 perforations around each side. Now I could, if I didn't want to do any Pico cutting, just perforate in the middle. So it creates a pattern. Okay. And all I'm doing now, because it doesn't matter if you perforate in the middle and then you decide you want to picot cut it, because we're going to cut away those elements, you see. But just for ease and for satisfaction, I'm going to perforate all of the holes. Okay. And you do need to be careful, because because this is the basic grid we're working on underneath, if I was to go over a white dot, it would perforate that dot because there's room for the needle to go all the way through. So this is where you need to concentrate a little bit. Now, if Josie was doing this, I'm sure she'd be using a 4 needle or a 2 needle, but I enjoy the 1 needle effect. I find it more satisfying. See? So I reckon if we give this a go, and then next week what we can do, we can have a look at the picot cutting, okay, and then we can concentrate on our centerpiece. What do you reckon? Groovy Tuesday is flying away today. It really is. I reckon we'll get all of this perforated, you know. Because there's still 10 minutes. And all I'm doing, I'm just doing the insides of those boxes. Okay. But if I wanted to, I could perforate around the outside. If I wanted to, I could do in between those boxes. I could do in between there to add design. I could picot there. It's all about having choices with that patterned plate. I need to focus. Focus, focus. Once you get into it, it's just remembering, remove your guard, just to make sure you're not doing these areas as well. I mean, got off screen. That you're not doing these. I mean, you could do these bits. There's no rules to say that you can't. It's entirely up to you. You could perforate every open space within the design, but it's then whether you decide to picot cut or not to picot cut. So you're just going to follow it through. And I've now got into that routine of doing all 9 of the perforations within the box. Just move that up a little bit. See? And once you get into a rhythm, it doesn't take long. It really doesn't. And how far am I going in? I suppose I'm probably going in about half the depth of the needle, because all we're doing is we're just looking to perforate. See, and then we're going to move along, move it down. And when we look at the plate that we've been using, Josie said they were, what were they called? I called them buckles. Spacers, I think Josie called them. She called them spacers, didn't she? So when you start to play, you can extend the design. But we've kept it nice and simple and just gone with the design exactly how it is on the plate. Okay. You know what, I reckon we could get this done, or I could get this done potentially. But I think yeah. Giving Josie a run for her money on her perforating. but I'm sure JC's a lot faster than this as well. And dare I say, I haven't made a boo-boo yet. You watch, now that I've said that, I'm going to perforate. I'm going to get carried away. There we go. So in the one needle bold, and the grid gives you that perfect perforation every single time. It really does. Let's turn it around. We're still in camera. We've only got 2 more sides to do. Really doesn't. I will definitely need my glasses next week for the picot cutting. I did go to the opticians on Saturday. That was a strange experience. I only tend to use glasses. I use varifocals so that when I'm looking down, I only use it when I'm doing parchment. So when I look down, it's magnified at the bottom, and then the top half isn't as magnified. So then when I look up at the screen, I can actually see what the screen's saying. So it's a different prescription. So I'll get that eventually. There's no rush. I only use my glasses for a couple of hours a week. So I said to them when I went in, I said, oh, can I keep the frame? And they said, oh, how long have you had them? So I said, oh, about 4 years. They said, oh, it depends on the condition of them. And they opened up the box and they went, do you wear them? I went, yeah, but not every day. So yeah, so I can use the same frames, which is good. So I've just got to arrange a time to go and drop those in and get some new prescriptions. Okay. So Nicola perforated the whole design yesterday, and yes, managed to perforate and emboss top. You know what, Nicola? It doesn't matter, does it? In the whole scheme of things, you obviously know where you've perforated into the dot, but I'm sure if you was to give it to the recipient, they're not really going to go, oh, look, there's a dot missing from there, are they? Because it's the overall design. See, I've just done it now. Did you see that? I've just perforated 2 dots. Why did I speak too soon? See, I got carried away. I wasn't paying attention. I was trying to multitask, read the screen, and say, oh, look, I haven't done it yet. And then I've gone and done it. But I'm not worried. I'm not fast. I know it's there. Just like Nicola knows her dot's been perforated. It's just, we could put a little butterfly on it, can't we? No, Nicola, you didn't jinx me. I jinxed myself because I said I hadn't done it. But I'm not worried. I'm really not. In the whole scheme of things, it's the overall effect that I'm looking for. And I think this is the last one, I think. Yeah, look, 2 more to go. See, that was quicker than what I thought it would be. Really was. Little box here. And the final one. And that's, I mean, if you want to perforate more like Nicola has, you can. But I just thought these little sections here would be great to create little like windows from whatever we put behind. Designer paper or coloured parchment. It's entirely up to you. Ta-da! Right, I'm going to zoom out now so we can get the overall effect. Okay, stretch. Whee. Slowly does it. Okay, so let's remove that from, gently remove the Groovi tabs. Excuse me. I think that was perfect timing. I don't think I could have planned that any better. Okay, so let's just pop that there. So now we can see we've done all the perforating. Okay, so next week what we'll do, if you want to, you could just leave it perforated. It's entirely up to you. But I think next week what we'll do a little bit of pico cutting to open up those windows. And then we'll start to look at the design in the middle. So when we have a look at what Linda's done, we'll have a look at the centerpiece. Now, whether you choose to go with the one that's from the club, maybe you've got another design that you want to work on. But if you've got the frame, then that could be used for absolutely anything. I'm looking for the lid for my 1 litre bolt. So, so thank you once again for joining me. I've enjoyed your company. Seeing all the chat popping up every now and again. Don't forget Thursday in the Shack with Barb at 10 o'clock. Barbara Gray and the Ammonites. Well done, Ken. Then 11 o'clock and 3 o'clock on Create and Craft. Tina Cox is doing the Pergamano shows. And then I will be back in the Shack with you on Monday with Barb. And then I'll be back here on Groovi Tuesday on Tuesday. So whatever you do, try and stay cool, drink plenty of fluids, and I will see you next week. Take care now, and thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.